Okay, we are recording from Arlington, Vermont. This is Happy Valley Hobbies, and these are hobbies that make me happy. Now, for people who, hello there, Rail Artists. Thank you for coming in. Hello there, Dave, BNSF, N-Scale, and Curly Express, Dwight. A hot dog pilot Andy is in. He is not, let's see. As Anthony Dodge would say, you have now been knighted. And it looks like that's all the people I can think at this point, see at this point in time. So if anyone is lurking, thank you for coming in. Let's see. It says there's 4 that are watching, but I think I was talking about more than 4 people. So again, things are not as not as live as I guess they would normally would be. All right, let's go there. All right. Well, it looks like hopefully it looks like the disk drive is not it's only showing 1 person. Well, I'm the only one here, so but yeah, it's one of those things of I think when it says how many people are live and stuff like that, sorry for that. All right, Rail Artists, give your wife an extra hug from us. In lurk mode. Well, I mean, that's one of the things, as I was talking about people who were in lurking mode earlier, it's okay to be that way. But, all right. My one monitor here that I have Task Manager running on is an old CRT, VGA style CRT, and the one electron gun is starting to go on it, and it's the red one. And every now and then, I'm looking at the screen, and it's odd looking because it's missing the red, but the red just popped on. So it's like, hey, it's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it. Well, I don't know. Lurking is not that dirty, in my opinion. Now, cooking dinner, that could get dirty if you're not careful. But just to let everyone know that there's possible changes coming up tomorrow for next week. I'm looking into there's a fiber optic internet provider that came around here, and it's going to be about half of what my cable is. But the thing is that in order for them to install it, of course, they have to turn around and start, they have to install it. So that means I'm going to have to turn around and take down the workbench, move stuff around. Thankfully, most of the stuff is on wheels. Because that was one of the things that when I first moved into this apartment, it's right now carpeted, and one of the things that the landlord wanted to do was to turn around and add hard floors. So when I put up all the shelving units, I also bought casters for them. So it's like all the shelving units are on casters. The workbench behind me is not. The table that the computer is not on wheels. There's another, my mother's sewing machine desk, which has a sewing machine underneath it. You flip it over, you pop out the sewing machine, and you can sew stuff. And then when you're done, you put the sewing machine down, flip the cover back over, and all that, and then you can use it as a table. And right now, it's mostly being used as holding the CRT monitor and some clothes. But the tool cabinet that's holding basically the machine tools, it's on a tool chest that has wheels on it. So that's also something that can be easily moved around. So that has to move, and then two of the shelving units have to move over there so they can get access to where they're probably going to put the access for it, which is going to be near the where the cable is now. But hopefully they do a little bit better job than the cable company did, because all the cable company did was drill a hole through the floor. That was it. It's not a very elegant solution. It's the cheapest solution. So hopefully they do something a little bit better where there's, it comes out as a wall plate and other stuff and all that. But unfortunately with fiber optics, fiber optics doesn't really like to go around corners that well. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to do that. But, theoretically, it's like, oh, you'll get all this speed and all that. And I'm like, I'm not exactly how much internet I'm using. Let's see. Actually, I got the test manager up. I can actually show exactly what I'm doing. All right. I'm sending 2 megabytes and receiving 1 megabyte. So that's how that's happening at this point in time. Hello, Grandpa Rails. Thank you for coming in. Distracted by the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think the 6.5 might be because I haven't liked the video itself. So I think there is about 6 people in here, with Rail Artist being in his lurk mode because he's cooking dinner for his wife. As I'm sort of been explaining that things might I wouldn't say things would change. Things might get moved around a bit or something like that when in order for them to put the fiber optics in. But it's like, oh, you get a gigabit of speed and all that. Of course, I'm looking at the thing now. It's like, up and down, I'm only using 3. So I don't need a whole gigabyte. But all right. That all right. There we are. So that this might get repositioned a little bit. The camera on the workbench might get rearranged a little bit because this actually has to come down. So that this has to come down so I can turn around and take it so I can move the 2 Well, this one is connected to one of the shelving units that I need to move so they can get and do the installation. So this is going to have to come down, which is probably the first time I've taken it. Maybe either the first or second time I've actually had to take this down. So actually, it might be the second time. I forgot exactly what the first time I had to take it down was, but that's going to be have to do. So there's 3 things I have to start. Like, well, 4 things, 3 rolling things, and well, plus this chair, so that's 4 basically. And then I had to take down clear off the workbench, fold it down because it's a folding table, and then move another table. But that's about it. So they can get in there, put in the fiber optics, and then I have to like move everything back and then test everything out, making sure everything works properly. I'm not planning to keep the cable also for maybe a month, just to making sure that the fiber optic works properly, and then say goodbye to Xfinity and hello Fiberdom, I think it's called. It's a company that I do not know it that well, so I don't know what their I mean, it's fiber optics. The thing is, my landlord is trying to sell the apartment complex, so I'm do more along those lines. Hello there, Derek Alexandria. Here's somebody else that has not been, as Anthony Dodge would say, not has been knighted. So, add you as a standard moderator. Ta-da! Blew all over the place. So that's getting fiber optics. Going to assume it's not going to change the quality of what we have here, because the internet itself is not the bottleneck. Right now, I believe it's the hard drive that's the bottleneck. That's why last week things went awry. And test and that's and testing is probably what I'll be doing a lot of next week after the installation. So I'm assuming nothing's gonna go wrong. If something does go wrong, I'm not is being in the blue is an honor that I accept with all the other blues. Okay, gotcha. Yes, that's one of the odd things about moderators. It's like it's one of those things that moderators can turn around and check out other channels, but it's not an option for the normal member or the normal chatter, I guess it'd be. While I'm at it, forgot to pop out the chat. All right, and then change it from top to live. I'm not sure. It's one of those things of I'm not quite sure why they have top and live during the live stream. It just makes more sense to have it live. But you are welcome, Derek Alexander. So we're like trying to do the Anthony Dodge thing where he knights everybody, no matter who they are, and then if they cause issues and all that, then block them completely and take away the moderator. But being a relatively small channel with just over 100 subscribers, with 7 watching, so come to think of it, that's a very high percentage of people watching / our moderators. Oh, you didn't have to be rich to see a channel, just see if anything. Yeah, it's I get it's one of those things of sometimes decisions that might be 104 right now. I think it was back in, I want to lean towards March, that I hit the 100 mark, which I was planning on doing a giveaway, but I couldn't figure out how to do the giveaway on StreamYard because they have a thing where you can do giveaways. And StreamYard, probably some of the ones who have their own channels and use StreamYards. Well, thank you, Derek. And I do watch. Well, sometimes I watch after Suntracks Sunday, the StreamYard channel, and they have a thing where it's like, oh, you can do giveaways and stuff like that. Use the hashtag whatever and all that. Oh, hello there, Mystic. And how are you today? But yeah, it's one of those things. I'm maybe just turn around and go back to that original video back in March, rewatch it, find out who actually was on live then, and then turn around and put everyone's name in there and then pick it out of a hat. That's, go old school on the picking up. But that probably will be, it won't be this week because of, possibly changing over to fiber optics. So basically, it's a more of an economical decision because I believe right now paying just a little over $100 a month with Xfinity. And then with the new company, Fiber Idiom, I think they're called. The introductory rate for a year is $50, so that halves it, and then it goes up to $75, which is still less than Xfinity. The main concern that I have is how reliable are they? With brand new equipment, I would have to say with new equipment, once you get the bugs, any bugs or errors or anything out of the initial system, it should last a while. I would say the main problem that this new company has the same exact problem as the internet company has, and it's that everything's on poles. There's nothing underground. So that means when there's a massive windstorm that comes through here, there's a good chance that the service goes away. So that is definitely one issue. But it's basically it's going to be the same issue whether it's fiber optics or cable, because they're on the same exact pole. So if it tree comes down, knocks it over and all that, there's and there's a good chance that the fiber optic's going to break. But it's the same thing with the cable company. It's like tree comes down. If it winds up breaking something, you're going to lose service. So that's the one disadvantage of having the fiber optics in a small town, because they usually are put on poles. But that's the way it is. All right. So speaking of out in the country, let's say we change cameras. All right. And there we are. But another thing is that since everything's got to be moved, it might be also a good time to turn around and double check things. I'm going to have to take off zip ties. Because the lighting is all zip tied here. So it's all zip tied here. So I got to take off cut all the zip ties in order to move the shelving unit that's over there. That shelving unit is probably going to stay, but since the lighting is up there, I might have to turn around and change that also. So basically what I wound up doing off screen for the canal portion is to basically take all the different pieces of wood that I have and see about making a canal. And from the looks of it, I'm going to have like your abutment over here, and then over here is going to be a small trestle. Now I don't know if they ever did a cover truss bridge connect to a trestle. It seems a little odd and all that, but this diorama is being put together and all that to hopefully increase skills, not accuracy. In fact, that's all these, pretty much all these dioramas are. But one thing I wound up doing is that did wind up gluing everything together. Or at least the base of it is. Now the interesting thing is that this is where the towpath is. In fact, I'll grab an animal to demonstrate. So there have to have enough room for two animals to walk by each other. And then here's Rick the tree for scale, undecorated at this point. But that's about, I would have to say that's definitely about the normal width. It seems that a lot of them had like they had grass on the sides with the quote path down the center. And this side, which is basically the wall that's going to be above the stream that I'm going to have here, that's where it's going to have the other a pier on this and the abutment on this side, and then pretty much go from there. I might actually turn around and raise where the stream's going to be, because this stream is going to I'm assuming you don't really want the stream right uh, up against the wall here, because theoretically erosion would turn around and bring it away, unless there's like another separate wall away from it to keep it from help not having it erode away. But it's going to be a relatively small stream, maybe maybe three fingers long or something like that. I'm also thinking about maybe having, for a little more interest, have small stream coming into the canal, filling it up, and then having another one over, having a sluway on this side to sort of let it, as an overflow. But that's what my current thought is. Well, thank you, Mystic. It is the roof of the full cover bridge that I just recently diorama that I finished remaking. It's a hunter line. This bridge is also a hunter line, because when I was originally thinking about this, I was going to buy I won a $50 gift certificate from Hunterline through New Tracks, and basically my thought process was to take the Queen Post Bridge and make a cover truss one. And I wanted, after talking with Rick Hunter, one of the owners of Hunterline, saying that, hey, what's a good way to, the wood that's needed to make the cover truss? And he's turned around and said, just buy the cover truss bridge and use the parts off of that. I think I might have to buy a couple of extra pieces, because the covered bridge doesn't have, I think they're called outriggers. They're extra, because the bridge is literally just wide enough. But I also had the regular normal Queen Post bridge, and it actually has outriggers on the side to keep the truss from flexing. Whereas a covered truss bridge, the structure, the covered part actually acts as a brace. But the covered truss bridge, since they're only covering the trusses, you still have to have the side trusses. But that's what my current plan is right now. I got too much. It's one of those things of getting new service and all that. Has made it to where, basically clean the workbench off. But I would have to say, one of the decisions I want to make right now is where to put the track, because where this is going is pretty much set. I mean, I might be able to move it maybe a quarter inch one way or the other, but this is pretty much where it's going to wind up going. But the thing about it is, if I move it back, there would be more foreground. The last one I did had flip around this way. When I rebuilt it, it had more of a background than a foreground. So I wanted to show off the ridge, but now this I might be able to, do a foreground better. So that's what my thought process is. But yeah, I would have to say this month for me has been a little bit hectic because of the mandatory overtime at my workplace. So I haven't really been concentrating on this too much. I think, sort of like concentrating exactly where the canal's going to go. That took a lot more of brain power than the rest of it. But let's see. Let's put this to the side. And I'm actually thinking that maybe put the initial the initial cloth, plaster cloth over it, just to give it a little bit more of a harder shell. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get the contours in first before we start doing other stuff, which means I'm a little bit not quite prepared for it because I do not know where I left the aforementioned plaster cloth. All right, it's not there. It's not there. It's probably a place where if I move one thing, probably find it. I'm unfortunately not the most, when it comes to home, I'm not the most organized. I'm a lot more organized at work. Home is more like, we'll put it here and we'll figure it out later. So there's that, there's that. Now I do have one that is not open yet. I'd rather not open it. I'd rather get the other one finished first. But we might have to open up a completely new package. Now this is a different take on things. This particular one is from Art Minds, which is if I remember correctly, a Michaels brand. So we'll go that direction, which that also means, let's see, that means I'm going to need a lot more water than what I have in front of me. So right now I have that much in front of me, and it also has a little soap in it to get rid of the tension. But all right. I'll slice this open. Now I'm assuming plaster cloth is plaster cloth. Ooh, interesting. It's double bagged, which is pretty good because, well, dust gets all over the place. Ooh. Now, Dave, are you planning on something that's just a simple runaround, or are you aiming for something that's going to be more operational, a more operational setup? I know someone in the NRA is doing what they call mini dioramas. So, sort of almost a variation of T-Track, but where T-Track uses, if I remember correctly, uses four pieces of track as a double main line, two of them right next to each other. Oh, that's interesting. That was in the center. I'm assuming that was there to help roll everything. All right. Now I know I have a pair of, so I should have grabbed them beforehand because I know I have a pair of scissors somewhere here. Because that would be better to cut the plaster than X-Acto knives. But yeah, the mini dioramas are only one track piece long. They're set up as little islands that can connect to each other using Kato track. And you can do all sorts, they're designed to get people into the hobby, basically. And all right, get this out. All right. Put that down, put this over. But my assumption is that, these are more designed for beginners or, get people into the hobby of, hey, here's a piece of track, go decorate the way you want it. And then get a whole bunch of them together, and then you can, do what they do with other, module clubs, basically. You can connect them all together and have a cute little, have a cute layout. But since this is designed more for kids and beginners and all that, a lot of the times the kids are not really railroad knowledgeable, so they do other things. All right. Yeah, this would be so much better with scissors, but my scissors right now are temporarily MIA. They're probably in the room, but the question is where in the room. All right, let's move the scenery stuff out of the way so it doesn't get roped in yet. All right. This might be longer on this side. But, all right. Let's get this folded over. I cut it a little bit too long. Okay. That's close enough for that. All right. Let's move this way out of the way as we add the water to this side. I get most of the impression of this plaster cloth is basically the same cloth that they use for blanking on exactly what is it for casts, medical casts. When one breaks their arm. But now everything's wet. Let's say we smush it all in, get rid of all the holes. Oh, hello there, Dan. Thank you for coming in. Foreman. I have a good friend that's a corpsman that I haven't really been on top of keeping up with him since the pandemic. Actually, maybe technically as a rock. Apparently, a piece of plaster had congregated. But one of the things I've noticed using plaster cloth is that sometimes there's just not enough plaster to fill up the holes. All right, take the canal out of the way. Now, of course, since the canal is solid wood, it's going to make this really, really heavy. But it's one of those things of it's a diorama. It's not a as I said before, more going for a learning the techniques and not really be historically accurate. All right, this needs to be flipped over here. A little bit more flatter. just like on the other side, it has to turn around and get this pointed correctly. The plaster through everything. But I would have to say tonight's Sidetrack Sunday, it's going to be with Mr. Bailey at the False Bailey Railroad. Yeah, last night was the first time actually getting on with Artie at Adzumuma Railway. It's a little hard to actually say exactly what his channel layout is, but he does have he does have a distinctive Australian/American flag on it. And he's one that something that I might also contemplate is invite people to come on. So I'm thinking of doing something along those lines, maybe. Especially when, but maybe not next month, because that's the next month is going to be the trial of the fiber optics. So would not, it's probably not a good change one variable at a time, basically. All right, so that side is done. This side, let's see. Do a little bit more over here. Let's see if I can actually. Yeah, this side I can actually form it a little bit better over here. Because it's mostly, this is a mostly flat section here. All right. Okay, that's annoying. I just had all the cutting things for cutting right in front of me. And when I flipped this around, apparently I lost everything. Or misplaced everything. All right. Now this is where this is going to cut across. Okay, it looks like we're going to go this way. This way is going to be very messy, because this is a serrated tooth. And it's not going to cut because it's grabbing instead of cutting. Well, this is annoying. It's like, oh, we'll just set this down here. And then all of a sudden, all right, I found a knife. Not the knife I was using. That's the annoying part. because I had a knife. So I didn't need a new knife. Put that there. Let's see. Let's say we put this back where I found it, so theoretically I can find it quicker. All right. But I'll get this done and pretty much call it a night. Because watching plaster dry is not super exciting. But yeah, hopefully by next week I'll make a decision on where I'm going to put the track. All right, what's this over here? Yeah, I'm not quite sure what Rick is up to tonight, but he's starting to come out with very good thumbnails. It's probably something else I should be looking into. Maybe with the new fiber optic setup, I can concentrate on thumbnails. Because I'm assuming my thumbnails are very, very boring. But as far as I know, I don't know. Thing is, I never really got into like YouTube Studio and stuff like that, mainly because when I started the channel, it was going to be, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, because I was unemployed. And I did something silly and got employed. So I wasn't really, I was a little bit too tired to sort of concentrate on things. So I stopped, so I wasn't really concentrating. One thing I did move from is that originally I was using Zoom because of I was already using Zoom through New Tracks Modeling. So I was already familiar with it. It wasn't until later on that I wound up trying something else, which was StreamYard, and sort of said goodbye to Zoom, because Zoom is good for what it's designed for, and I was not using it for what it was designed for. So that's why I stopped using it. StreamYard is an actual streaming service, whereas Zoom is more of more as a conference style setup. And it's very good at being for online conferences. It's not really good for streaming, but that's just my opinion. All right, let's fold this over. throw that under there. Make that a smoother setup. Also, maybe a possibility, with this new change, maybe I'll move the one monitor so it makes more sense or easier to watch the chat. Moving the one monitor over there. Maybe turning around and actually buying a new monitor to replace the one that's starting to fail, and make that as a setup that way. But I'm going to at least wait until after the installation. Maybe the tech guy putting it in will get a slight laugh of, wait, you're using a CRT? But then also, when I was younger, I had the 6 CD player hooked up to an 8-track machine, so I'm used to having different eras of technology connected to each other. All right, so let's back off a little bit. Switch cameras. Which means moving the backdrop, which shakes the camera. That might be another thing I might wind up doing, is trying to find a better solution for setting up the... Ooh, made this a way shed. All right. Speaking of not looking at the chat, this is the sneak peek of the rolling cabinet that I was talking about earlier. Let's see. Oh, more of a temporary setup. All right. Oh, wow. Vietnam. All right. Well, it seems that most of the people in the hobby, I guess, are on the older side. Or at least the ones that I've found out. It's like, most of the clubs and all that, usually I'm one of the younger ones, and I'm not retired yet. There's been a lot of times it's like they would... seems that a lot of people wind up retiring. All right, Dave, thank you for coming in. And it's almost time for me to start winding things down. So I thank you, Curly. And I do my best to keep everyone entertained. I'm hoping that I'm doing it. I'm assuming that when using a hollow core door, you sort of kind of got to remember that it's hollow. If done right, it can be done. I have never done a hollow core door, so I do not know how well that would work. Alex, Derek, I would have to say yes and no. It is a cardboard product, but it's not cardboard. What it is that I currently work at a mattress manufacturer, and we get rolls of fabric in, which I can't think of the technical term right now, But it's more of a press. It's basically they take I'm assuming cardboard, recycle it, and they press it together. And as you can see, this is where the fabric roll of fabric would fit into. And I'm looking at it going, hey, it makes it could make a valley and all that without the easiest way to do that. So basically, I've cut up different ones. The one with the covered bridge has this style. The one on the current model is a different style. It's a different. I'm not sure if it's a different style, but it's a different size at least. We most of the stuff that we get is this diameter. But the one that's doing now, it's a much. This is much. Not as it's a larger diameter, so it's not as. I forgot the math term. But it's a lot more shallower and longer and deeper and all that fun stuff. But it's one of those things of we're constantly throwing this stuff away because once we get it and take the rolls off, we don't really need them. But yeah, there's a there is a technical term for these, but I don't know. They're also usually at least 4 foot long. This one, if I remember correctly, had I want to say 4 valleys. The larger stuff that I'm using on the other one, I think only had 3. But it's one of those things of there's they constantly throw these things away, and they don't care what you do with them. So it's like there's I know there's some companies that they look at the someone taking this as you're taking away our recycling, and it's like, yeah, it's being recycled, just not you're not getting paid for it. But we do recycling by the pound, and this is cardboard. This is pressed cardboard, so this is very light. You can actually tell on the back and how that could also probably be a different style of terrain, I guess. But doesn't it? Because everything is set this way. Does it sag when it gets wet? My experience with this stuff is that it has to be soaked like a sponge in order to start sagging. If you just spray stuff on there, it doesn't. Mainly because I think of that they have a little waterproof in this, I think. But if this winds up getting absolutely soaked, it disintegrates. It doesn't really. It starts to sag first, and then it just basically starts falling apart. So that's why I'm not really worried about it by spraying on it, because I've done it before, and no real consequences has gotten it. Especially right now, the air is starting to get really, really dry, so it doesn't stay wet for long. But yeah, I'm trying. It's one of those things. If I probably should have actually show notes on the side, going like, "What the hell is this?" It's like, then I can go and give them more actual information on it. One of the interesting things, if you look back on it before I put the plaster over the top on it, you might have noticed that there's letters and numbers on there, and that I believe is the part number of what it is. They put it on the section between the rolls, so you can actually go, oh, it's this time. Who makes the best mattress? Huh. Well, it's one of those things of I want to say I'm biased because I worked there. Would be Natural Form. That's the name. That's the name. Well, that's the corporate name of the not the corporate, the commercial name of the company. Natural Form, the Vermont Sleep Company. Well, the thing is that for me, Derek, it's one of those things of I don't buy mattresses that much, so it's one of those things of it's a nice mattress, and I just go that direction. But yeah, the thing is that we do make mattresses that are we make mattresses for our own company name, which is Natural Form, the Vermont Sleep Company. But we also make mattresses for other manufacturers, or not. We're a manufacturer for other companies. One of the biggest ones we have now is a thing called Bright, spelled with a Y, not an I. But they do most of them. They do for hotels and stuff like that. Another one is that comes off the top of my head is Medline and Intensive Therapeutics, which you can tell by the name are more set up for hospitals and stuff like that. So it's one of those things that go on like, unless you're in the know, you don't know. But we do have a small contract with Temper Sealy. That was one that they were hoping that would take off, but really hasn't. But one of the amazing things is I never realized on how much actually goes into a mattress. It's when I was I'm used to saying, all right, it's a piece of foam, and they put it into a cloth bag and away you go, which is some of them. Those mattresses are usually the medical ones that go on like on stretchers or on something where it has to be lightweight. Some of them are specifically designed for specific surgeries. That one night I was it's one of those things of like, oh really? It's like, if somebody's doing I'm trying to think of some of the ones that see, I'm in shipping and receiving, so I'm not sure exactly how things are, but I know that there's a mattress designed for eye surgery. There's another one designed for I don't know if they have to do the surgery on the side, so they're sort of like you're on your one side instead of being flat. There's ones that are designed to go into the beds that where you can flex, bring your head up or the feet up and all that. So there's and those are just the foam mattresses. Then we have ones that they have systems in them where they're individual bladders that you can control the pressure inside them. So you can actually, adjust the bed. It's like a lot of the different manufacturers out there do the same thing, but they can get complicated depending on if they have the tubes or the bladders. And then you start adding electronics on there so they can actually, from what I understand, some of the high-end beds, they actually, they have it so the air goes in and out and sort of vibrates you awake. It's like, of course, those are more expensive. But yeah, it's it's one of those things of knowing the insides. But the thing is that I know the ins and outs of the mattresses that we make. I don't know the ins and outs of other manufacturers. It's one of those things of, if I wound up getting a tour of another manufacturer, then I can go like, oh, okay, they do this better, or they do that better, or they do this worse. But I'm assuming that a lot of companies won't want me in there because, well, it could be considered corporate espionage. Well, it is 4 minutes to 8 o'clock, so I guess I'll turn around and start winding this down. So I think the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around the world. And I'll see probably everyone over, and thank you, Derek, and see everyone over at the Foss Valley Railroad.